Hi, everyone, from an undisclosed location. It is James Howard, and for some godforsaken reason, we are back again this week to talk to you about who knows what.
Good evening, everybody. From another undisclosed location, my name is Bill Woodcock, and you have tuned in to the latest and greatest edition of Do It Live, the show where the only conventional wisdom is no conventional wisdom. Jamie, we know what we're talking about today.
We're talking about Alabama.
We are talking about Sweet Home Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Coming home to you.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide indeed, although I have to say I'm a little bit more of an Auburn man, especially since they put the whooping on them dogs last Saturday. War Eagle.
What dogs?
Those would be the Georgia Bulldogs in college football. They were ranked #1. And then the Auburn Tigers, who for some reason are also called War Eagle, defeated them. I'm not sure the relationship between Tiger and Eagle, but so it is.
I'm pretty
sure. Anyway, it is home. It is home to Greenbow, Alabama. Actually, I don't know if that's a real town. It may not be. Home of everybody's favorite center-right fictional character, Forrest Gump, and Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore, he who allegedly has stuck 3 fingers up the steaming bunghole of former congressional candidate Frank Mirabile of Howard County.
That's pretty rude, Bill.
That's what I hear. And how surprising would it be to know that Roy Moore is a gropey McGroperson, because he just loves to grope things. If you name it, he will grope it.
That appears to be what the Washington Post says.
That seems to be what everybody is saying. You know, he is a Dr. Seuss groper. He will grope in the house. He will grope you with a mouse. He will grope you here and there. He will grope you everywhere. So how does this man get to be a judge? How does he get to have a 30-plus year public service career? And yet he's probably groped a large percentage of the women in Alabama, and probably a large number of farm animals. So what's your take on this behavior, Dr. Howard?
Well, I mean, here I'm going to be just a touch of a contrarian on this, as I like to be. And I'm not so concerned about him groping all of these women as I am concerned about him groping all of these women when they were underage and it was not welcome. If these women were of age and it was consensual groping, yeah, I don't have a problem with it here, and I think it's a very important distinction to make here.
Well, of course, consent is an issue.
Consent and 14 years old is also an issue.
But of course, nobody is going to go to the Washington Post or go hire Gloria Allred and say, Roy Moore groped me and I asked for it. It was good. It was consensual sex. I'm not even sure Roy Moore's wife will say that. So now the question is, of course, all of this illegal groping, and I don't know about you. I mean, you are obviously closer to 32 than I am, as you take no pain in reminding me.
That's because you're a 30-year-old man.
In it. Have you ever? When was the last time you found a 14-year-old attractive? Was it at 32?
It was probably when I was 14.
I think that would be appropriate. That would be apropos.
I mean, what is that, like 9th grade, 8th grade?
8th grade, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember 8th grade now that I think about it.
I know it was at Ellicott City Middle School, the one that was rebuilt. I can't remember a single class I had.
Let's see.
I know I was there. I know I played the clarinet. I remember we were the Ellicott City Eagles, not the War Eagles.
Not the War Eagles? No. Wait, you play
War
clarinet?
Eagle? Yes.
Oh, fascinating. Did not know that.
Yeah. But that's pretty much about all I remember. I remember playing a lot of dodgeball.
I think
and
we've
soccer.
accidentally stumbled upon here a key point here, which is that is a really long time ago and a really large age difference.
We mean 32 and 14.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, having both of us having been 32, by the time I was 32, I run for the House of Delegates. I'd been married for 6 years. I had both my kids. I was a year away from moving here to the undisclosed location. And yeah, I mean, I moved along in my career. So what possible attraction could logically could a grown man of 32 have with a 14-year-old?
I don't know, but one of the things that I think is important to understand is that we have to remember is that this is a habitual problem apparently for this gentleman, and I use the word gentleman loosely.
So what you're saying is that he's a perv.
He's a pervert.
He's a freak. He's got issues. He has hang-ups.
Alleged pervert.
He should seek help. Well, that's true. I mean, all of this stuff is alleged and hearsay. I mean, even what I've heard about the local goings-on that I mentioned before. I have no evidence. I have no proof that anybody has been groped. But such will be addressed, I guess, in a court of law, perhaps. Yeah. But meanwhile, this guy has had a long career as a judge. How come none of this groping has been brought up during his judicial career?
Let's see. There are multiple reasons why. I think one of the big ones is that. Well, I mean, let's flip it around for a minute. And let's talk about Weinstein. Why didn't anybody bring it up before then?
Well, not really. Like, it wasn't really brought up. I mean, it was something that was known in the Hollywood crowd, but it never really became a public show until the protests and accusations reached a, as they say, fever pitch. Until it became a big deal.
Mm.
But I mean, to hear and to read accounts of this, Harvey Weinstein's dealings of dirty do were of legend in Hollywood circles.
Yeah. Well, let's now keeping that in mind, let's go back and let's talk about Roy Moore a little bit here. Roy Moore has been a judge on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just for a moment assume it's all true. Now we want to ask the question of why wouldn't these women come forward before? And there are two intertwined reasons. The first one is Moore was in a position of extreme power, with the ability to use his office to affect certain outcomes with respect to people he didn't like. And also, and that's, that is regardless of whatever's happening here, that is a true statement. And another thing that we know is true is that Moore was willing to abuse his office to exact revenge on people he didn't like. I mean, that's very publicly known. We've seen him misuse his office on multiple occasions. He's twice been removed as a judge for misusing his office. Under these circumstances, is this a guy you want to mess with?
No, I would consider that if I were a person of the female persuasion, or even not, because I think Moore will grope anyone at any given moment.
I'm going to guess that's probably true, and we're just waiting on those stories to come out.
Oh, I'm sure he's groping right now. But if he were to grope me and I were in Alabama, let's say I was Forrest Gump, I would say, Judge Roy, and then I would think twice about it, probably because I would know that the Judge Roy would have the power to put me in the Hooskow,
Who's
maybe for the remainder of my natural existence.
indeed?
Which, given being that I would be Forrest Gump, would probably be the age of 130, so that I could shake hands with the first alien before I died.
Ooh, I want a pet alien.
Well,
That's
that would be Forrest Gump 2. It's supposedly in pre-production.
Forrest Gump 2, The Quickening.
No, there is no Forrest Gump 2,
The Quickening.
especially The Quickening.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be afraid of retribution.
Yes. And like I said, we know he's willing to abuse his office.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's it. But even setting that aside, we can look at what, some idiot, and they always are idiots, state representative or whatever they call them in Alabama, because they have different names.
They are state representatives.
Oh, good. I'm glad you know this.
They are.
Suggested that the women should be prosecuted for bringing this up. This is regardless of whether or not it's true. And I'm like, yep, that's why they didn't come forward before.
The enlightened state of affairs in the great state of Alabama.
I mean, the problem here with this is Alabama has lived up to very nearly every stereotype imaginable in its attempt to deal with what should be a very simple news story.
How do you follow that through, please, to its logical end?
Well, let's see here. We've seen it defended as completely normal. We have seen other people say, the women should be prosecuted. We've seen other people say, there's also the fact that, we have to deal with both the Speaker of the House and the governor just got removed. I forget. There's something going on where, all branches of government are under investigation simultaneously or something. Alabama is a shit show, and that's beside the point. Well, actually, kind of is the point. But yeah, it's like the whole state's just living up to every stereotype we have about it.
Political prognostication for you, Dr. Howard. Does Roy Moore get removed from the ballot in Alabama?
No, he does not.
I think I tend to agree with you, sir. So earlier today, I just finished reading up biography and other information on Roy Moore's opponent. Does Roy Moore win the state U.S. Senate seat from the state of Alabama, Dr. Howard?
I give it a 50-50. I mean, the first poll that came out last week after the story broke showed him down 4 points. I think that's probably reactionary. And it'll level out the next few days.
So I'm actually going to go 60-40 that he loses. And I think that I'm thinking a margin of about that. Well, no, let me give it 55-45.
Now we're splitting some fine hairs. Now the real question is, what?
You said 50-50.
It has been suggested that the Senate Republicans would refuse to seat him.
So over 20 Senate Republicans have already gone on record as saying he should drop out. That's almost half the entire Republican caucus, including the Senate majority leader.
He's a turtle. He's going to go back into his shell at his next available opportunity.
He is turtley enough for the Turtle Club. This is true.
What I think is an interesting question is, and then others have said that the Republican Party should admit him and then immediately expel him. What I think is an important question we need to ask is this the same Republican Party that refused to stand up to Trump with basically the same accusations?
So now you just reached some golden territory now, don't you?
Don't say golden. Don't say golden.
Yeah, well, I just did.
No.
And because where is the moral pulpit of the presidency to weigh in on this fiasco and say that this is wrong and this guy needs to drop out and take care of his personal business in Alabama, and that the Republican Party should simply move on? Do we have a president who is choosing not to? I mean, and I do think the answer to this question matters. Do we have a president who is choosing not to engage on this because he doesn't care? Or is he choosing not to engage on this because he is ashamed of his own behavior and he realizes that he has no standing with which to criticize? I will note that within the last couple hours, his daughter has come out and stopped short of saying that he should pull out Roy Moore, but that she believes the accusers that Ivanka basically mirrored Mitch McConnell's statement.
Yeah, I'm just going to say at this point, this isn't the first time somebody told Roy Moore he should pull out.
Gropers don't have to pull out of anything. They grope.
Oh, so, he did more than that.
Well, that's true, but I'm focusing on the groping because I think it's just it's all ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, I think first of all,
just the word grope.
I think the president does not care. I think the president
about it. Think he could give a crap less.
I think the president thinks that this is what men are entitled to do. I think that I think he's more upset that people are upset than he is that this happened.
When are we going to get? So this special election is, I believe, December the 12th.
Sure, yeah.
So we have about a little bit less than 4 weeks of this fun and games. When is the tweet from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue going to come that kind of spells where Trump is on this? How long before the election is that going to happen? Could it happen tomorrow? I mean, this all broke when pretty much broke when he was in Asia. Could it happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen December the 5th? Is it going to happen during Thanksgiving dinner? Is he going to, when?
Well, just remember, I'm sure he'll do it while he's eating his overstuffed and dry turkey.
Well, he does know a lot about being a stuffed bird. Apparently, according to a tweet from the great handle Rogue POTUS staff, the president is now weighing in at a robust Taftian 345 pounds.
Taftian. I think one of the things you have to remember is that he's been gone for 12 days. He desperately needs to get in several days of vacation, since he usually does about 4 days of work a week before going on vacation to, golf, because that's all he seems to do is golf. This is after he said if he were elected president, he'd be spending his time being president rather than golfing, so I'm not really sure how that worked out.
Oh, he's going to be so presidential and no more golfing.
So presidential. He only managed to embarrass the United States a handful of times on this trip.
Incidentally, if that man is a 2 on the golf course, I'm getting ready to ride next May's Kentucky Derby winner, because allegedly his handicap is a 2, which is pretty good. That's not pro level, but that's pretty good. And for a 73-year-old or 71-year-old man, he pretty much may as well be almost like a pro quality. I have seen this man's golf swing. He has no flexibility in his body. He golfs like I used to swing sticks at rocks when I was 5 years old. There's no way this man is a 2 on the golf course, which would mean that on a par 72 golf course, he would be expected to shoot 74, which is pretty awesome.
I think he's probably more like he will grab it by the caddy.
Are you calling the president a groper?
Yes.
He has groped, hasn't he?
He has.
Will he grope again? Does he still grope?
Probably groping right now.
Will he and Roy grope each other?
One hopes, at least then they would be self-contained.
And self-satisfied.
And I think that this hits on the important point, which is at this time, the Republicans now have a systemic problem.
Which is?
Serial misconduct. I mean, here's a really
no moral advantage. They have no moral advantage.
No morals.
Ronald Reagan's family values campaign, they have no family values.
But there was a really interesting tweet. This is from yesterday. And I don't know what it looks like right now since I'm reading this right off my screen, so it probably looks like I'm staring into the abyss. But Richard Painter writes on Twitter, "I'm staying a Republican. Will not let GOP be taken over by Russian collaborators, racists, pedophiles, and outlaws. Will oppose all elected officials who do not stand up for the rule of law." That seems fairly fair. And Tom Nichols says, "So far, this is my position, by hanging on by squinting hard and gritting my teeth." And I think there's an old wisdom in investing, which is that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And I think that this situation is such that it will stay irrational and stay bad longer than anyone who is sane can hold out. I mean, there are sane Republicans. I've known a few of them. Not many, but
but where are they going to go? I mean, I think I know a few of the same people that you know, and those people aren't going to go anywhere. I mean, they're not going to join the Democratic Party. They're not going to decline to affiliate. They're proud of their Republican heritage because they're of that Reagan-Bush mold. They are even a Newt Gingrich mold. They don't believe in this crap. So where do those people go?
I don't have an answer to that.
If I were one of them, I'd be thinking about that answer because they're getting ready to be very well marginalized.
Yes, they are. I think that you have a party which is effectively taken over by racists and pedophiles and outlaws and Soviets. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
And so the best possible plan for the Democratic Party to take advantage of this is to move even farther to the left.
Yes. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of horror.
I can't see if you're being sarcastic. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or serious there.
No, I think you're right. I think, though, that there's also plenty of dead wood in the Democratic Party. I think that there are people in the Democratic Party who are Democrats solely to get elected to office. I think there are people in the Democratic Party who, when push comes to shove, they are really right-wing. Martin O'Malley comes to mind. I think that the Democratic, and this is true in states like Maryland, this is going to be true in other states where the Democratic Party has essentially a vice-like grip, but it's also true at the national level. I think we see people who are Democrats simply to not be Republicans because they at least have some morals and just can't associate with those clowns.
So you don't see it as an ideological thing. You see it as you see what's in the Democratic Party now and kind of the schism that exists, not as ideological, but as more, I don't know how to say this, but energetic.
It's both. I mean, there's definitely two mainstream threads to the Democratic Party right now. One is the whole Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, extreme left approach. And then there's the third way Democrats that you see represented principally by the likes of a Clinton or I'm trying to think of another really good example. Terry McAuliffe and the like. And then you have those people who are Democrats in name only. And like I say, I mean, I think Martin O'Malley's a great example of this. I mean, I've lived in Maryland for more than half my life now, and I did not vote for him to be governor, and I did not vote for him when he ran for president. And
Well, you couldn't have voted for him for when he ran for president because he only made it to Iowa.
I thought he was on the ballot in Maryland.
I don't know if he was on the ballot in Maryland, but by that time he had long ended his campaign.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. But my point is, it's like, there's a third strain of Democratic elected officials who are, or candidates who are not necessarily particularly ideological, but rather catch as catch may. And there does need, I think
political opportunists.
Yes, and I think the party would do very well to see a healthy and an invigorating debate between the true left, the true blue, what's the word I'm looking for, left wing and the third way, but the deadwood is deadwood and will just drag down the party.
Interesting. Dr. Howard, we are not going to be presenting this fine broadcast, and it has been a fine broadcast this evening, next Wednesday, due to the impending Thanksgiving holiday. Speaking of groping, I mean, I personally understand that, if there's one thing you enjoy groping, it's a bird, especially a bird of the Turkish variety. So how shall you be enjoying, sir, your Thanksgiving holiday? Will there be sweet potato casserole with the mini marshmallows?
Probably. I don't know. I'm not really in charge of that. I just deep fry turkeys.
Turkeys? How many turkeys?
I think we will I don't know how many we have on tap for this year. Probably 3 or 4.
What are the size of these turkeys? Are these Cornish game turkeys?
15 pounds.
What are you going to do with 45 to 60 pounds of turkey? You have a 4-person family, sir. And 2 of them are we. They are children.
There's gonna be like 30 people there.
Where? Not at your house.
No, Nina's parents.
Not at your undisclosed location.
No, at Nina's parents' undisclosed location.
Ah, indeed, sir.
Yes.
Will any of these turkeys be halal turkeys?
I don't know.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yes, and what we probably will actually do is deep fry 2 or 3 turkeys and then grill one.
How do you just? I'm assuming you have to cut this turkey to put it on a grill.
No.
How do you put a whole turkey on a grill?
In a basting pan.
Oh.
And then, it doesn't actually get. But the thing is, we run the grill up to 1,000 degrees.
I was gonna say that has to take a long time.
Oh yes, it's magnificent though. It was the best turkey I've ever had. Nina made this fantastic maple glaze and put it on there. And I'm like, just stick it on the grill. And so I did. It was great. And then the other thing we do, and I swear this should be I think something everyone does. It's so obvious that I can't believe that this isn't a thing everywhere and at every Thanksgiving. But the first time I did this, I ended up declaring this was proof not only that I love humanity, but I want them to be happy. And that is, we take little balls of stuffing and we deep fry them.
I can't believe I just heard that.
Why?
That begs to be done.
It does. Do you have any idea how good a deep fried stuffing ball is?
It's a stuffing dumpling.
Yeah.
That's good eating.
It is. And here's the thing is, as you think about this, it seems perfectly obvious, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you basically deep fry anything. You deep fry Oreos, you deep fry Snickers, you deep fry Coca-Cola.
I don't understand how the Coca-Cola works.
Well, you make batter up that has Coca-Cola in it, and then you fry.
Oh, so I'm not just dropping a 2-liter bottle in the oil.
You could do that. We could watch the fun, but
Oh no, 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 no.
I would advocate against it.
That's one of those things that they use to demonstrate fire safety, I think.
You'll be David Palmer will come to your house and you'll be an Allstate commercial ad.
Oh man, that'd be weird. Yeah, I feel like David Palmer's kind of a discount Morgan Freeman.
Who is he? Dennis Haysbert. That's the guy's name. I just know it was President David Palmer.
Oh, but whatever his name is, he's like a discount Morgan Freeman.
Oh, he very much is. He's like the dollar store Morgan Freeman. But he did take credit for Obama.
I love Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is awesome.
I would like to go to sleep on a bed of Morgan Freeman's voice.
Ooh.
That was a line from Ted 2.
The movie about the teddy bear?
Yes. He said that to the Morgan Freeman character, Ted. Oh. I would like to go to sleep on a bed of your voice.
Interesting.
Now you got to see Ted, don't you?
I've not seen Ted, although I'm really digging the Orville.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't. I'm still four episodes away from finishing Discovery. I'm only halfway through it.
Oh, yeah.
But the Orville looks like serious but funny.
So it's like the Orville is he clearly pitched this to Fox as a Star Trek parody, and then after the pilot episode decided to take it seriously. And I think he was probably always planning on pulling the stunt. But the thing is, some of this is like it's really good.
Because it seems like every episode is like one of the lighter episodes. It's like Squire of Gothos. It's kind of light, but it's kind of serious too. And like, there's some funny, but people are in peril and they're going to die.
Well, actually, a few of the episodes have been really dark and really complicated.
And with no funny.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, I think that, what they're viewing as funny is the kind of stuff that's like the everyday kind of funny. I mean, think about just the way it is when you're in an office environment, right? And sometimes just little things are funny, or somebody says something. It's like in Star Trek, every line was written by Shakespeare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it feels like it. And it's not that way. They actually seem to talk to each other the way real people talk to each other on the Orville, while still handling the same kinds of situations. And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's serious, and sometimes it's wait, really? Did you just say that? Those sorts of things that actually happen in real world conversations. I think it's actually a very good show.
This bears watching.
Yes, it does. So you know what? I'm going to recommend that you watch that, and I'm going to get off of here because we are well past our half hour. And next
Indeed we have, but it's been quality.
It has been quality. And we will be back in 2 weeks where we will be discussing the Orville.
Peter!
Or, whatever.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good night, everybody.
Gobble, gobble.